Hello everybody, Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope everybody is preparing for a great weekend. As for me, this is going to be a special weekend. Sunday marks my 54th birthday, and with everything that has transpired over the last few years, I am more than grateful to still be among you. Those who have followed me for any time, you're aware of the fact that this time last year I was recovering from a series of heart attacks that took place in March. A lot has changed. My health is consistently improving. Refocused and centered on being in better condition, spending more time in the gym and training, less time, a whole lot less time stressing about things I can't change, following my own advice that I consistently give to others, and doing the best I can. So this is definitely a time that I'm going to, those who know me know I do not make big issues and deals about my birthdays. You know, I'll say, hey, it's my birthday, and say a few things, and then I'll come back and thank everybody who has taken time to wish me happy birthday. But I'm not one that's, you know, posting, man, I'm doing this, and I'm not one that's celebrating the whole month that my birthday is in. You know, that's not me. But this year, I'm going to take it in differently. It won't be as casual and as lightly as I normally do. I'm going to really enjoy family. I'm really going to take time to appreciate it because what I've been through in the last few years demands that I do. What I want to talk to you about now is something that's really gotten under my skin. And it shouldn't surprise me, but it's just something, because certain things you kind of get into as a part of your routine, and when that space is invaded by something that vexes your spirit, it bothers you because you've got to figure out what you're going to do about your routine. When I go to the office in the morning, for those who don't know, I went back to an off-site office. I did the in-home office thing, and I still have the office at home, but I did the home office thing for a while. You know, just for a number of different reasons. It gave me a greater deal of flexibility with the family and everything like that. But every now and then you've got to change up because things evolve and things change, and I've got so many things going on that I really need the quiet time and the space away from the family to be able to really center and focus. So the wife suggested some time ago that it was time to go back out, and you know, so now I have to get up every morning and actually go to the office. And in the process of doing that, I'm listening to the Rickey Smiley morning show, which is a nationally syndicated show. And Rickey Smiley, I followed for a long time. I think the guy is funny. Some of the things he talks about and believes in, we're on the same page when it comes to family and how we deal with our kids and so much more. I am definitely, I'm definitely on the same page with him. When it comes to politics, no. He still seems to be, and a lot of it I think may be pushed by, I believe he's with Radio 1 with Kathy Hughes. So a lot of that may be agenda driven by the entity itself. But that's another reason why we need to own our own. But I don't agree with him on that. And then since this COVID thing is coming, the big push to get blacks to take the vaccine, and the misinformation that is consistently pushed, specifically by one particular person who I know to be a sellout. I can't think of his name, but his first name, but his last name is Dr. Collier. And he comes on and he pushes these scare tactics, these fear-mongering tactics, these false narratives and numbers And the whole idea is to get more blacks to be vaccinated because they're at the greatest risk of getting sick and dying. Well, all of the accusations, first and foremost, aren't founded in real science. They're founded in narratives and propaganda, not in science. We're in the midst of a situation where entities are literally investing in, and I did a thing about that with Google, and Google, who owns YouTube, and how they're censoring based on the fact that they now have, Google Ventures has invested in one of the vaccinations. And so now anything that's posted by legitimate researchers and scientists that is posted on YouTube is coming down almost immediately. And all of this stuff is just a part of it. And at the end of the day, this is a money grab. This is about Big Pharma. This is about how much money can be made in the vaccinations. I've posted some content that has been fact-checked and verified on the site, the Odyssey Project site, and I've also posted it on the Master Fitness 21 site, because that's the health site, but it's also on the Odyssey Project site for people who want to actually go there and read and have verifiable data with references that you can research yourself. This isn't me trying to make you think like me. This isn't me trying to get you to be or do what I want you to do. That's a decision you make on your own, first and foremost. I did literally 10 years of research before I made up my mind about vaccinations. And my younger children aren't vaccinated. My younger children, up until this point, have had the healthiest path in their life. It requires a great deal of focus on eating habits, a great deal of focus on understanding. And the thing is, even with me, you got to understand, I had my heart attacks right at the point when the big national shutdown happened. I was literally going off into an emergency room with heart attacks. So I'm at my most vulnerable. But the thing is, up until that point, the family, my wife and I had been working vigorously on the immune system. My only weakness was going to be that I was out of shape. But as far as what I had been eating, the right amount of exposure. See, the thing is, what you don't understand, your body has a natural ability to fight off bacterial and viral infections. And it's not the antibodies that are produced by vaccines that are the most effective against fighting out viruses. It's actually your T cells. Healthy T cells and an abundance of T cells is what's going to help you fight it off. The problem is you have to be exposed to these different pathogens in order for your body to develop the immunity to them. The more you stay locked in the house, the more you stay hiding, the more you're wearing masks, all this other stuff works against that. I've researched it, I've done it. This isn't something I'm just yelling off the top of my head. Well, I can't convince people of that, so I stopped. I posted what I find to a certain extent, but I keep myself educated. So I'm constantly researching, literally weekly, on what's going on so I can stay up on it. So when I hear stuff, I can call BS or say, okay, they got a point. I need to know. That's something that we need to start practicing amongst ourselves, is a demand on ourselves to have a knowledge of how things work, a knowledge of what's going on, so that we can't be misled, so that we can't just sit up and say, well, I guess they're taking the truth, or you got a torn course on who's telling you the truth, or you follow the normal narrative, which is to believe a certain group of people, despite the fact that in most instances, the same people that you've been conditioned to believe are the ones who have been screwing you over for the longest. But back to this. This guy stood up and said that the majority of the new cases of the virus and those dying behind are from, no, he said all of the people who are dying from the virus now are unvaccinated. Absolutely untrue. I've done a great deal of research. There are a lot of people having adverse reactions to the vaccine. Second of all, there are those who have gotten the vaccine and have acquired or caught the virus after taking the vaccine and have gotten extremely sick and in some instances die. There have even been teenagers who were considered to be completely healthy, who probably had unknown underlying issues, but on the surface were completely healthy, that have gotten the virus since having the vaccination and died. This is verifiable. This is something that is easily verifiable, and yet he's on the radio telling you that the only people getting sick from this stuff and dying from it are people who haven't been vaccinated. Second of all, there's this big push to create fear about the variants. Well, here's what I can tell you from the research I've done on the variants. The variants aren't really truly variants if you're judging them by evolution and a new presentation. What you have is basically, at best, a 0.03% variation in the original virus. Now, when you've got the first variation of SARS, or the many variations of what you get from the flu, you're talking about something like a 20% variation. Now, that's a new strain. A 20% variation is a new strain. A 0.03% variation, which is the Delta and all these other strains, are ranging from about 0.03. That's just a slight change, but it's the same virus. The body can't even detect the difference. Now, what it is in this slight variation is that it's even less lethal than it was in its original form, slightly. But again, the body in sensing it can't pick up the difference. So here we are, and we're talking about this. Now, here's the thing. Guess what's most likely pushing the variations that are appearing? The vaccination. Why? Because the vaccination creates antibodies, and the virus responds to antibodies differently than it responds to T cells. The T cells are what's most effective against viruses, and viruses aren't triggered to morph or evolve when encountering T cells. Now, what happens is when a virus meets a vaccination that in this case does not kill the virus or does not neutralize the virus, these vaccines have, by the own account of the manufacturers, these vaccines do not stop you from getting the virus. It simply reduces the effect of the virus on you, meaning that in most cases, you're not supposed to get as sick as you might have gotten if you didn't have the vaccine. Now, when you look at the fact and say, okay, this virus only had a kill rate of 1%, 99% of the people who got it survived it. And that the vast majority of those who didn't were either elderly or had underlying conditions, you have to say that this is not a very lethal strain of a virus when you compare it to other things like the Spanish flu that killed millions and millions around the world. Before, again, natural herd immunity took over. It was never a vaccine created for it. It simply stopped. Yes, it costs lives, but the thing is, what happens with the flu that you have now? The flu shot you have now, you have to get every year, and that's what they're moving towards. They're purposely creating variants through the vaccination so that every year you will have to take a new vaccination, just like you do with the flu shot, because there will be a new strain. And that's created from the vaccination. It is that situation because the vaccination creates antibodies that the virus responds to differently. Now, here's the thing. I got on every chance I get, even when we had the lockdown. I was out every chance I got, keeping my immune system up by exposing it to pathogens that are out there. What you got was a lot of people who stayed in the house 3, 4, 5, 6 months who came out and immediately started getting sick. Not just from COVID, from a bunch of other stuff that they would have never gotten sick from before, because why? Their immune systems got weak while they were locked up in the house. Your body has a natural way of dealing with things. The healthier you eat, the more you exercise, the less stress you have. And that's the other thing. All the fear-mongering creates stress, which makes you, again, more likely to contract the virus and more likely to get sicker from the virus. You got to understand epigenetics, how stress will upregulate and downregulate genes. So you got to understand all this stuff is out there to learn. All this stuff is out there to learn. But if you sit up and you allow someone else to dictate to you what's real, what's not real, without you having an understanding or at least a reasonable perspicacity of what is and what isn't, so that when you hear it, you can understand it, and you can tell and bounce it off of your understanding whether it makes sense or not. But more importantly, you have a grounds for which you can go research it now based off of your ongoing understanding of it to gain even more understanding. That's how you grow in any phase of life. You cannot remain ignorant in areas that are impacting how you live your life. You got to get out, go out, and make moves. Again, this isn't me telling people don't get whatever, do get whatever. I'm telling you, based on my research and what I know, based on the history of this country, based on what you can find out about vaccinations, period. Not just the COVID vaccination, but vaccinations in general. You've got to have some questions. You have to have some questions. My thing is, do your research. Come up with a reasonable understanding of what you're facing and what's going on, what your particular lifestyle is. And then, like, you even have now the NFL that's coming up with a new policy that says if an unvaccinated player comes up with COVID and it causes a game to be postponed or not played, the team on which the player plays will forfeit any money and forfeit the game. Now, this is specifically for unvaccinated players. Now, here's the thing. The vaccine doesn't stop you from getting the virus. So you can be vaccinated and get the virus. Based off of current NFL policy, if you are testing positive, whether you're vaccinated or not, you can't play. And there's a chance that if you were exposed to enough people that the game is going to be, but it's only if you are unvaccinated that it's going to have a direct impact. Again, this is pressure to make players get vaccinated, because the thing is, it doesn't, if you've got the virus, you can't play, and if you're exposed to enough people, the game will be shut down. Baseball, football, basketball, that's how it's going. That's how it's played. They're going to get tested, and if it results in an outbreak, if you're getting the virus, contaminates enough people to where it's considered an outbreak, they will shut down the game. Nobody get played, and whoever that team is, And so what happens is, it has nothing to do with whether you're vaccinated or not, because the vaccination doesn't stop you from getting it. So if the vaccination doesn't stop you from getting it, and just having it is what disrupts the whole play, what does it matter whether you are vaccinated or not? If you get it, you can still give it to someone else. So it doesn't matter whether you're vaccinated or not along that line. Again, now, being vaccinated does not protect anyone who doesn't vaccinate, but the whole narrative is you are putting other people at danger by not getting vaccinated. But the vaccination doesn't stop people from getting it. But they're expecting you to be that dumb that you can't really read between the lines. Okay, I'll say it for you again. If you get the shot, it does not stop you from getting the virus. So, and when you get the virus, it does not stop you from being a carrier and transmitting the virus. So how is it you not getting the vaccination putting other people at risk when they can still get the virus from you, even though you got the shot? Look, I'm gonna leave it on that note, because I could talk on this all day. But my thing is common sense, first of all, then do your research. On that note, look, I'm gonna get out of here. I could talk about this for a while, but you've got to do your research. Go to www.theodysseyproject21.top and look at what's posted there. I'm going to consistently keep adding more information with references and resources so you can track it yourself and look it up yourself, and you draw your own conclusions. On that note, I'm out of here.